Welcome back to the Explainer. Look, if you're a focused learner gearing up for the UPSC exams and you want to seriously maximize your score, you're in the exact right place today. We're tackling a high-yield foundational topic that actually bridges multiple exam papers. We're going to unpack the incredible history, the philosophy, and the modern-day relevance of Neo-Vedanta and the Ramakrishna mission. This whole topic sits right at the intersection of modern Indian history for GS1 and your core ethical frameworks for GS4. Okay, let's dive into this. So here's our Foundations to Applications roadmap for today. We'll start with the origins of the mission, break down the Neo-Vedanta philosophy, check out their pioneering social reforms, look at some modern initiatives, and then finally show you exactly how to use this to ace the UPSC exams. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Origins of the Mission, Tracing the Roots.
Let's move to and see how this builds. You know, late 19th century India was going through this massive intellectual and spiritual awakening, and our story here really starts in 1863 with the birth of Swami Vivekananda. Now, he would eventually become the dynamic chief disciple of the great mystic Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Fast forward a bit, and on May 1st, 1897, Vivekananda formally founded the Ramakrishna mission. And literally just 2 years later, in 1899, they anchored the whole organization at the Balur Math headquarters near Calcutta. So it was this incredibly rapid evolution, right? Going from a single visionary leader to a really robust institution that was designed to completely outlast him.
Moving right along, that brings us to Section 2, the Neo-Vedanta philosophy, Ideas into Action.
So we really have to ask ourselves, why did this organization dedicate itself so entirely to propagating Vedanta and promoting interfaith harmony? Well, it's because philosophy wasn't just some abstract concept to them. It was a literal call to action. To truly grasp what motivated them, just look at this core Sanskrit motto established by Swami Vivekananda himself. Atmano mokshartam jagad hitayacha.
In English, that beautifully translates to, for one's own liberation and for the welfare of the world. Now, notice how that specific phrase perfectly bridges the deeply personal, inward quest for spiritual enlightenment with a rigorous outward-facing commitment to humanitarian action. Basically, it suggests that your own liberation is intimately tied to exactly how you treat and serve the world around you.
And that actually brings us to the formal definition of their core ideology. Neo-Vedanta, which is often called practical Vedanta, is all about combining traditional Advaita philosophy with selfless service to humanity. Now, Advaita teaches non-dualism, right? It's the idea that the exact same divine spark exists in absolutely everyone. The mission took that intellectual concept and made it a practical reality. Think about it. If everyone has the divine within them, well then serving humanity is literally serving the divine. This powerful combination right here, this is the absolute philosophical backbone of the Ramakrishna mission.
Okay, on to Section 3, Pioneering Social Reforms, Disrupting 19th Century Society.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing what happens when that philosophy hits the real world. You get a total radical paradigm shift. Earlier, religious focus was, let's be honest, often dominated by pretty rigid, insular rituals that were confined to temples, totally separated from the daily suffering of common people. But the mission offered a completely disruptive alternative, karma yoga. They introduced the idea that social service is a direct form of worship. They literally stepped out of the temples and right into the streets to address poverty, fight disease, and provide massive disaster relief. They effectively turned humanitarian aid into a spiritual practice.
To actually manifest this karma yoga, they executed some rapid-fire social reforms. First off, they focused relentlessly on women in education. Swami Vivekananda recognized early on that you simply cannot build a strong, rejuvenated nation on the backs of an impoverished and uneducated populace. It just doesn't work. Second, they promoted a truly universalist view of religion, really fostering interfaith harmony in a deeply diverse country. And third, through all of this progressive social work, they modernized core Hindu spiritual principles, essentially pulling them out of ancient texts and applying them directly to the modern struggles of the 19th century.
Let's bring this into the present with Section 4, Modern Initiatives and Context, the Mission Today.
So how are these historical principles actually being applied right now? Let's look at two highly relevant initiatives. First up is the Awakening Program. This is a brilliant initiative out of their Delhi branch that's designed around the value-based education goals of the NEP 2020, actively shaping the minds of young school students. And the second one directly impacts a lot of you watching right now, UPSC support. The Ramakrishna Math in Delhi actually provides a massive, incredibly well-stocked and low-cost library specifically catering to civil service aspirants.
So, well over a century later, they're still actively supporting India's future administrators.
Finally, we've reached Section 5, Ace the UPSC exams mapping to your syllabus.
We've covered the history and the philosophy, so now it's time to map everything we just learned directly to your papers to maximize your marks. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how to do that, so I highly recommend you take a mental screenshot of this right now. For your history GSI paper, you can confidently write about the Ramakrishna mission when you're discussing social-religious reforms, the broader freedom struggle, and specifically Swami Vivekananda's crucial role in inspiring early Indian nationalism. Then, for your ethics GSIV paper, guys, this is your ultimate historical case study. You can cite them when answering questions on the values of compassion, the absolute vital importance of character building, and that core concept of nishkama karma, which, as a reminder, is selfless service performed without any expectation of reward.
As we bring this explainer to a close, I really want to challenge you. Don't just memorize these facts for an exam. Think about what they actually mean. The Ramakrishna mission proved that philosophy without real-world action is basically empty. So here is a provocative thought to leave you with. How will you apply nishkama karma, true selfless service, in your own future career as a civil servant? When you are finally sitting in that administrative chair, how will you ensure your actions are truly driven by the welfare of the world? Keep studying, keep reflecting on that question, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.